Hey everyone, I'm Red, and today I'm going to be ranking all 5 Despicable Me / Minions movies with the Rise of Gru that just came out. A quick note before I start, I don't have a ton of nostalgia for these movies. I only saw the first one once or twice growing up, and I realized these movies were directed way more towards young kids and not adults, so I kept that in mind while watching and ranking. But I feel like every movie should still have a good moral lesson and impact its audience in a positive way. I'm sure you all have your own opinions and rankings, so please let me know down in the comments. And keep an eye out for my Stranger Things rankings coming out as soon as Volume 2 drops. But let's get this ranking started. In last place for me is Minions. This movie was actually a pleasant surprise, and it wasn't completely horrible, even though it is in last place. It had a pretty cool premise from the start. The Minions being born to serve their masters and them failing in their mission was an entertaining idea. And it made a ton of sense for their characters. There was a ton of really funny scenes with them killing off their masters throughout time. It's a real tribute to Gru that he has survived this long with those crazy little things. Even though I like the Minions as characters, I feel like they work best in small doses and need some great characters around them to make them work. And this movie really needed some more great characters. There were some good ones, but for the most part, it wasn't enough to make up for the Minions being the main cast. It had some unexpected callbacks to the other films, which I really liked. The end with the giant minion was pretty funny. And I really liked the family in the car. I wish they were a lot more prevalent in the movie. Casting Sandra Bullock as Scarlet Overkill worked pretty well in my opinion. And the setting in the 70s UK was fun, but the Minions felt a little bit misplaced. I feel like the 80s or 90s would have worked way better for the kids. But I really appreciated it, especially the music. The story was okay with the Minions looking for a master, but once they were crowned king and royalty, it kind of lost me, at least story-wise. I can suspend reality, especially for a kids movie, but that was really dumb. I wish there was a little more heart and soul inside the movie. It stinks of a big cash grab, which it really was, honestly. But this movie was a lot better than I thought it would be, although I don't know if I'll be rushing off to see it again. If it had a smarter plot, it would be higher, but the story lost me. And fourth is The Rise of Gru. This movie was kind of bland, nothing really horrible, but nothing super great. And it was kind of disappointing, but there are some positives for sure. It was great seeing young Gru again, and the story was pretty solid about him stealing the jewel, and the hijinks that followed were great. The music was really good and I love the old school vibe. The ending with the powers that the amulet give to the human villains was a ton of fun and it looked great. The visuals were amazing. I just wish there was a little bit more of that scattered throughout the whole movie. The callbacks and references to the other films were wonderful and well done. There were multiple character Easter eggs and it was probably my favorite part of the whole movie. I love Dr. Nefario and it was great seeing him again. But there were some things I didn't love. The Minions were kind of weak in this film. They weren't quite as funny as the other films, in my opinion. The human villains were really weak up until the end, really unmemorable, and they had this big thing at the beginning of the movie showing us all their names, and I can't remember any of them. Pointless. There were some side plots that really lost me, especially Alto chasing down the biker. That just really didn't make any sense at all. The cool signature gadgets from the franchise were really lacking, and there was only one that I can remember. As cool as it kind of is, you need a lot more of that. And I think that this is probably the least comedic movie of the whole franchise. And if I'm watching these, I want to at least laugh a few times and actually enjoy myself. But the story was pretty decent, and you gotta love seeing Gru back in the franchise, so no real hate, but in the 4th spot, this one goes. In third, I have Despicable Me 2. I know this is a lot of people's favorite film in the franchise, and I can totally understand that, as it has a ton of positives. But I personally didn't love this one, and it had some issues, but it's a solid kids movie for sure. Diving further in, I thought the purple minions were terrifying, and I liked the character design. They pose a hilarious threat throughout the end battle. The villain El Macho was really cool, but he didn't really show up until the end, and I wanted a lot more from him. Kristen Wiig's character is really dramatic, and I think she's kind of annoying in this movie. She's a lot better in 3, in my opinion. The love story between her and Gru was lacking in chemistry. The scenes with Gru as a family man were good, but I feel like there wasn't enough of it in this movie, and I feel like the three kids kind of took a back seat, which was a real bummer because I love the dynamic that they bring. The subplot of giving the little girls a new mom and Gru a wife was a good idea, but I felt like the love interest was rushed, and I didn't buy them falling in love quite so fast. And even though the girls are orphans and are really desperate to find their motherly figure, I feel like the relationship was rushed as well. I just wish there was more scenes with them all interacting and getting to know each other. The plot line about Gru teaming up with the good guys and tracking someone in the mall was an interesting idea, but it was a little too obvious who the villain was, and I wish they would have taken more advantage of the mall setting and different shop owners. That was a good opportunity missed, and they could have added a really cool mystery element to the movie. Gru's oldest daughter starting to like boys was cool as we got to see Gru show off his interesting parenting skills. But unfortunately, this movie for me lacked a deep moral lesson for the most part and never really got me emotionally invested. But all in all, this movie may be my third pick, but I still think it's a really enjoyable kids movie with some decent adult humor thrown in. Second is Despicable Me 3. This movie improved on what was set up in the movie before. I really liked how this movie focused more on the family aspects a little bit more than the second. I think they developed the family's relationship a lot more believably, especially the mom's relationship with the little girls. It felt way more earned. The side plot about finding a unicorn was really sweet and just hilarious. I don't know how you can't love that. The little girls are a lot more involved in this one than the previous film, which is a big positive in my book. Kristen Wiig's character is a lot more toned down, and I'm so thankful. The villain was amazing and a ton of fun. I love the voice actor that got to play him. His backstory is tragic and super funny. He had some really entertaining gadgets, and they packed a pop. And the music and visuals that came with him were great. I loved the 80s theme. It was fun to see Gru be a little bit more evil again. I like him more, and he's a lot more fun when he's having fun creating chaos. It has a surprising amount of adult jokes, probably the most in the whole series, but I personally appreciate that, being an adult. The storyline about Gru finding out he has a twin was entertaining, and I didn't see it coming at all. Really got me by surprise. And it led to a solid moral lesson about not turning back to villainy and the importance of family. So, number 2, this one goes. In first is Despicable Me 1. By far my favorite of the series. I think it has the best overall focused storyline. I really like the dynamic between Gru and the little girls, and it works best in this movie and actually is believable for the most part. The gadgets are all on full display and at their funnest. There's so many memorable ones. The plot of stealing the moon was amazing. The villain was kind of great. He was a goofy idiot who kept somehow one-upping Gru. The twist with him being the banker's son was really good. It actually feels like two villains going at each other, and I love it. I think this movie balances the minions with everyone else best in the whole franchise. Gru's dog gets the most screen time, and you gotta love that. This movie has a fun original song that I kept wishing would come back more in the franchise. I think it has the least minions singing of all the movies, and I really appreciate that. It has an amazing tug at your heartstrings moment at the end between Gru and the little girls. Other than some plot holes, which all these movies have for sure, I'm not going to argue that. This one was really solid and easily my favorite of the series. Alrighty, thanks for watching everyone. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed and want to see more. It would help me out so much and I really do appreciate it. I have some Stranger Things rankings coming out as soon as Volume 2 drops, so keep an eye out for that. Alright, have a good one everyone. Thanks for watching.